this. I've been skirting around the idea of going full on Marcus Garvey on people, even though he was right.
Right.
I'm just trying not to scare too many people because, again, there are reasons why we're accelerating the plan. I'm watching the things fall apart, like with the insurrection. I'd gone through trainings of Homeland Security, and I knew exactly what assets were supposed to be in place and have witnessed this as a DC resident for years. I've been down there for Gina 6 rallies, women's marches, Al Sharpton, Black Lives Matter marches, cherry blossoms, whatever. There's always a certain security posture that was missing that day. And, having worked with them, I want to know who ordered that code red, because someone ordered the code red.
Right.
That kind of systemic failure, the backlash that the country had to the election of a black man, on top of the news that the demographic shift is happening and white people are going to be minorities by 2040. Mm-hmm. That second piece of news came out before we elected Obama. So there were people already tripping about that news. And then we put Obama in the White House, and they were like, oh my God, y'all said 2040. It's only 2008.
And that whole replacement theory stuff started popping up, and yeah.
We have amendments to describe us. We're not even part of the original document. So even though it says all men were created equal. So
that's not what they meant though.
Right. And I have professors at Morehouse that were about it. So freshman year, one of my history professors was like asking us, why do they need to renew our Voting Rights Act? You need to ask yourself that question and then keep that in the back of your mind as you navigate through life here, because they have not stopped attacking us. They don't share the dream. That's just, they give platitudes to it because it makes them look good, but they're not really trying to do all of that equality and equity and, So for me, it's an escape plan because of all the things that have been happening. The increase of police violence against citizens. Look, no one on this earth kills its citizens at the rate that the U.S. does. The federal government doesn't even track how many cops have been killed. They don't want to know. They track everything. There is no federal data warehousing that you can trust. NIH has the most good information on that kind of stuff because they're tracking the deaths, not because they're tracking the police incidents. So if it's miscategorized, NIH is missing it. They don't want people to know. That's on purpose. The infrastructure is crumbling. Drinking water. Flint, even though Barack went up there and drank the water's still messed up. Jackson, Mississippi, Philadelphia is going to have problems for a while. Yeah. All these train derailments, they can't keep trains on tracks. Things are accelerating at a higher pace. There were things that I used to hear in some of the government meetings, like FAA has been trying to upgrade the nation's air traffic infrastructure for about 20 years. And they know they're behind the curve. So, my wife was just a victim of flight delays. She missed her connecting flight coming back to Panama. She ended up having to travel for 24 hours to get back here. We've been traveling all over Central and South America. No problems. The first time one of us sits back foot in the States and sitting on the plane, sitting on the tarmac for an hour and a half because someone forgot to put gas in the plane.
It's crazy.
Right. As if.
Crazy.
But the escape plan is necessary, and things are accelerating. Jim Crow 2.0 was riding across the line. They've been telling us for years that they're going to attack our right to vote. With a demographic shift, the only way for them to maintain control and supremacy in a system that is built on majority rules is to take us out the system, to deny our ability to vote. So they've been doing it slick ways. They've been doing it overtly. Y'all just saw what they did in Tennessee by kicking the dudes out of Congress. The last time that happened was in 1868 when Georgia kicked 33 men out of Congress. when I talk about Jim Crow 2.0 and Reconstruction 2.0, this is exactly what I mean. The 1860s was the Reconstruction. We had a really good period. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but right after slavery, it was pretty good for us. I mean, we didn't have nothing, but we were able to come together. We were able to establish towns. We were able to get people elected. We voted at the highest rates that we've ever voted in the history of the country as a people. And they came and took everything away from us. That's what the end of the 1860s was about. And then 1870s was about, now that we've taken everything, let's reinforce our supremacy over them through terror, Jim Crow, lynchings, denial of housing, sharecropping. Look, y'all know the whole story. Y'all seen all the movies.
Yeah.
They are repeating what they were doing. They've spent the last decade working on the disenfranchisement piece, and they got good at it. We were able to convince them to let felons vote in places, and then Florida turned around and arrested the people who legally voted as felons.
Yep.
And then they didn't come out for the next election, and DeSantis won. Go figure.
Yep.
They are put people in places to deny the election results that they don't like. They've been taking over these state of security, Secretary of State jobs all over the place. They're taking over school boards. They've also been training out in the woods. They do squad tactics with guns. I know we train too. I used to fire my gun, look, but I'm not doing squad tactics. I don't know what my neighbor's doing. He don't know what I'm doing. They know what each other's doing. They know where to be. Look, for me, it came down to either prepare for the war that's coming, because there has never, ever in the history of humankind, there's never been a peaceful transfer of power from one ethnic group to another. There's always been bloodshed. So either I'm going to delude myself into thinking that 21st century United States of America will be the first entity on the planet to achieve such a thing, or I need to get ready for war. I was in the military. So the prospect of war at the age of 50, now 53, that's a little bit out of my league.
Yeah.
So how about I do what Marcus Garvey told me to do? How about I take myself out of this burning house and place myself in a situation amongst the diaspora and build my Wakanda here?
Right.
And that's where we are.
You're right.
That's where we are. So yes, have an escape plan. I hope have a passport, because they're slowing down that process. They're getting 500,000 a week requests. That's 2 million passports a month. They know what's going on. They know what's going on. They know people trying to leave. They see y'all's Facebook posts. Look, part of my career in the government was teaching them how to do that. I worked for PR Newswire. I sold them media monitoring software. They can read the sentiment. They know when you post about something, whether or not you really feel good about it. I taught them how to read all that. I taught people in Congress. I taught these federal agencies. They paid attention. They know what's going on. And they're trying to slow it down because they still need consumers. They need people there to spend money in order for everything to work, or like I like to say, economic batteries. And there was a movie where human beings were reduced to batteries. Y'all remember that movie?
It was The Matrix.
The Matrix. That's what's going on. It's not batteries for power. It's batteries for consumers. It's batteries for capitalism. It's the same. Everything else is the same.
Right. Yep.
They're not showing you the truth. They're not. They're just reducing you to a battery. So take yourself out of that and try to find your fortunes elsewhere. Make a plan, and it's not as hard as people think. Last thing I know, my last thing I'll say, because I really feel this like ministry. Me and my best friend used to talk all the time about developing the immigrant mindset, because we were watching people come to the U.S. and ball out. Okay. There's another part of that immigrant mindset. There are people on this planet who every day make a decision to do something for the betterment of their family, and they will leave with nothing but clothes on their back to go make a better way. if you in the U.S. and you got a job, you can go remote, or you can, get a data entry job and make $2 or $3 grand a year. You can definitely live down here and not have to deal with all this stuff. It's just going to take a change in how you think and how you relate to the world. But you can either stay in place and keep doing what you're doing and expect different results. And there's another word for that.
That's insanity.
It sure is. Or you can make a change, like Steve said. You got to do something, right? You got to move.
Yeah, you got to do something.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that a military concept? You have to stay moving in the conflict.
Yep. Move and communicate. You got to keep moving. Can't sit still.
Sit still is death.
That's right. If you rest, you rust. And just get used to that. You rest, you rust.
So look, I'm trying to encourage people
on what you were saying though about like how the government is certain powers in the government. I'm not saying it's everybody, but certain powers in the government. They want to remain in power.
Yes.
And they know that to remain in power, you may have to do some dirty stuff. And that's the kind of things that are happening with all these different laws that have come along. Like you said, I can't understand for the life of me why kids have to pay for lunch in school, but we can send $50 billion to Ukraine.
Right.
And then if let's just say for the sake of argument, right? Biden, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like some Biden fan or anything like that, but Biden says, all right, I'm going to do some executive order, whatever. It's going to be free lunch for everybody under the ninth grade, 8th grade and down. It's going to be free lunch every day. Federal program. We're going to send federal aid to every state for them to pay for it. Half the states ain't going to accept it.
Nope.
Even though it's free, it's basically free money because he did it. Because he did it. And the problem I have is that no matter what side you fall on, the left, the right, or the middle, it's never good to have one party decide everything.
No.
It's always a bad idea. You have to have opposing arguments, but at the same time, you can't just be like, oh, because the other person did it, I ain't going to agree with it, even if it's actually a good idea. And that's the problem I have with that, what goes on in the States. Like, it doesn't matter if an idea is good. It only matters who presents it. And I have a problem with that.
We saw that, really come to bear in the last administration. I mean, we've been witnessing it for a very long time. If Bush said things, then the Republicans loved it. If Clinton said the same thing earlier, they'd be like, that's messed up.
Anything Obama did was it was out the window. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what he said. It didn't matter what he was wearing.
Right. It's money. The money interest in the corporations. Corporations are run amok. Corporations are people. The Supreme Court already decided that they have rights, and that's important to note. That's a good segue. So now the Supreme Court is stacked, and it got stacked because they stole one of Obama's seats. We should have been in the streets. We should have been burning and tearing stuff up when that happened. But we're Americans. We're kind of caught on now. The French. They just tried to raise the retirement age 2 years. Right. They burned it
in the streets now.
They're in the streets. They burned it all kinds of Israel. Netanyahu said, you know what? We're going to make a change to our Supreme Court and make it easier for me to stay in power. And they blowing their own stuff up, right?
Yeah.
In America, they steal 2 seats from us, and we just chilling. We watching basketball or whatever. So
right. And our representatives didn't do nothing except go on TV and complain. Like, but what are y'all actually going to do about it? So there's too much going on, man. There's too much going on.
But the Supreme Court stacked. There's 3 major cases coming down that are going to change the landscape, and y'all have your passports. The first case is going to be the legalized gerrymander. Actually, no. Let's go with affirmative action. They've been telegraphing that affirmative action is going to be dead on arrival for months. Springs. We'll wait and announce it in the spring. The people who brought the case, UNC, Carolina, everybody loves the Tar Heels, right? UNC. I grew up a Duke fan. That was a deep aside for people
I'm
who know
from
me.
I'm from Raleigh. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. So
No, it's not. I'm from Durham, man. But UNC has already changed their writing. They removed all the diversity language from their inclusion statements and all that good stuff, right? Because they know what a case is going to do. So affirmative action is going to be done. After that, you have a case from Alabama in order for they want to be allowed to make gerrymandering legal. They want to be able to draw the districts based on race or whatever. They're going to allow that too. And then the third and the big one is a case where a business is suing for the right to not have to make a website for a gay couple. And when they first presented that case, it was a religious freedom case. And the Supreme Court, John Roberts and them rejected that case and told them in rejection, hey, if you had written this as a freedom of speech instead of religion, we would take a look at that. Wink, wink. Well, the people resubmitted it as a freedom of speech case. So corporations are people. Remember, that's the precedent. Everything has to have a precedent. The precedent was set during Obama when the Citizens United case, they allowed all this money into politics happening. Corporations are people. That means people have free speech rights. Corporations have free speech rights. So now the ability to discriminate will be a matter of free speech. And it will be voluntary. Some businesses will do it. Some businesses won't do it. You're just going to have to wait to see who.
Exactly.
These are the types of things that are happening. They're pulling the people in power, like you said, they're pulling on the levers to stay in power. They stole the Supreme Court pick, and they kept Obama from filling all of the lower level federal judges. And they gave all those to Trump. Yeah. So the guy who just wrote the thing that killed the abortion drug was one of those that Obama was supposed to appoint, and then they let Trump appoint. And here we are, and they already know that case is going to make its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. Who's going to do what? they already killed Roe versus Wade, so
I think that like what we forget sometimes, and I have these conversations with my wife sometimes, that when these cases come along, it might seem like, oh, it's just one thing. No, like it's a precedent. So
it's a precedent.
If you legalize discrimination, like people don't really understand what that means. If you allow somebody free speech throughout to say like, I'm not going to serve gay couples or whatever. Okay, well, they can also use free speech to say, well, I'm not serving black people. I'm also not serving interracial couples. I'm also not doing,
Yes.
Once and I don't care what anybody says. I'm one of the most easygoing people, man. I want people to be whoever you are. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm not marrying. I'm not marrying a man. So what do I care if a man wants to be with another? Like, it doesn't matter to me. It has no effect on me. Right. Do you? I don't care. So it annoys me that, people who talk about freedom are okay with taking freedoms away from people and not understanding what that, and all of us know, maybe not understanding what that really means, because where does it stop? Once you say it's legal to discriminate against people, well, then, okay, what's the next law that's going to come down the line? Right. It's going to be like, well, okay, I want to make it illegal for black people to be, in whatever, business role or job, whatever. Like,
it's been done before.
You never know. Right. They could say, hey, no more interracial marriage if you're more than 25% black or something. Like, it could be anything. And they'll come up with any reason to say, well, it's freedom of speech. And like, what are you talking about? We can't. That's why I have a problem. Like, people say, oh, you shouldn't allow people to, trans people to do this. I'm like, well, hold on now. Once you allow them to legalize discrimination against another human being, what is next?
Right.
Like, even if you don't agree with the lifestyle, understand what you're agreeing with.
I mean,
understand that you're agreeing with discrimination.
I took a lot of flack early on for my support of gay rights, Morehouse, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it was what you're saying was just as clear cut to me. It was really about self defense more than my being involved. Now I have evolved. I am at the do you stage in my life, but just pure self defense meant that I couldn't allow that to happen because I'm mixed.
Right. It only takes one person to come up with some devious idea that gets all the way to the Supreme Court, and then next thing you know, we don't get Social Security no more. Or something, something crazy. It'll be something crazy.
So that was floated under the Trump administration. Stephen Miller, one of the advisors in the White House, used to float attacking our birthright citizenship all the time, and he did it at the White House. So if you do away with, I think it was the 13th or 14th amendment. If you do away with one of the amendments, we're no longer citizens. We don't get anything that citizenship gets. And that, speaking of Blaxiting and citizenship, that's something that I think people should realize is that, and I get that question all the time. People want to know if we're Panamanian citizens or whatever. It's not about citizenship. It's about residency. The U.S. passport is a powerful passport. I will maintain my citizenship as I throw mud at them. But it does have benefits, and I'm not looking to become a citizen elsewhere. I am looking to have residency, and just like Stephen has said, Plan B residency too, because who knows, Panama may go south at some point in time.
Right.
So. I need to be at the ready, but establishing residency is a lot easier than citizenship. Citizenship takes time. A lot of times you got to take tests and speak the language and I'm good as a U.S. citizen. I'm good as a U.S. until the wheels fall off there. Then we'll see.
My free time means more to me than like having a lot of money. My happiness means more than having. Now, truth be told, having money can give you the opportunity to be happier, but having money isn't what makes you happy.
No,
and just having the free time, having the I would say the luxury of being able to just live where I do, and not even want to. If I don't even want to go outside for 2 days, I don't have to. We've done that several times. We go out here on the balcony, sitting here. I got a PlayStation, whatever. Fire stick, I'm good. Just to have that opportunity and not be in that rat race and not have that extra stress of, all the other stuff, of course, that's going on in the U.S. Not to say that there's no crime here or anything like that. I'm not saying any of that. But
it's different.
At the very least here, I don't feel like, some crazy gunman is going to come out and start killing random people. If somebody shoots somebody here in public, it's because they were going after one person for whatever reason. They're not coming out here to spray everybody in the vicinity. And, there's just like a freedom to knowing that.
It's huge. It takes a lot off your mind to not have to worry about workplace violence. Because, look, I used to go to work, I'm working in the government. The term going postal came from someplace, right? So I'm going to work and I'm sizing people up, and I know that we're about to let somebody go. So now I'm talking to have you guys notified security? Are we gonna be okay? This guy was a gun nut. We need to watch him and all that good stuff. I don't worry about that. I engage with people's comments online. I saw somebody post something about, would you send your kid to a school that had a sign, staff are trained and armed. If you do something to the kids, you will be shot. And I'm like, I know it sounds good and it sounds tough, but my time at Homeland taught me, after watching law enforcement, we train law enforcement at these facilities to, those courses where the targets pop up. Look, dude, I had a chance to do one of those myself. I watched Lethal Weapon and everything, Rambo, just like everybody else. I had a gun. I've been at the range. I popped off a few with the paper targets, right? So I'm thinking I can do this course. I'm killing innocents. I'm being killed.
Yeah.
You know, I shot a little kid because it popped up. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I'm trying to make people understand you don't want teachers to have to do that. They're already overworked and underpaid.
Right.
And now you're expecting them to be firearm trained and be able to make split second decisions on whether or not this is a viable target or your kid.
Yeah.
Like the simplest. It's just crazy.
Let me say something on that. Say something on that real quick. As somebody, I had a combat arms job in the Army.